Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing a Jeep Gladiator to a Jeep Wrangler to see what the differences are and which one you should buy. Before we get in this video though, as always, a huge shout out and thank you to the Larry Jeep here in Sandy, Utah for giving me some time with both of these vehicles. I'll include a link to their website in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Powering the Wrangler is a naturally aspirated 3.6-liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 23 on the highway, with power outputs being 285 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque. You can also get the 4x8 powertrain with the Wrangler, which puts out 375 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque. It's a plug-in hybrid. You can also get a 2.0 turbo with the Wrangler, turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder. Puts out, 270 horsepower and then 295 pound-feet of torque. And then you can also get a 6.4-liter Hemi V8 with the Wrangler. Naturally aspirated 6.4 V8, puts out 470 horsepower and then 470 pound-feet of torque. So lots of powertrain options. Powering the Gladiator is a 3.6-liter V6 that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission, puts out 285 horsepower and then 260 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy is a little bit less than the Wrangler, 17 around town and then 22 on the highway. And this is the only powertrain you can get Gladiator. EcoDiesel's gone and there's no V8, inline 6, no, nothing. This is it. Now, before we move forward with this review, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Now, I picked a Wrangler and a Gladiator that both have the Willys package to try to make it so it's as comparable as possible in terms of the looks and options and everything. And you can see when you look at them both, like straight on, they look like the same vehicle. I mean, obviously the Gladiator has body painted fender flares, whereas this Wranglers are unpainted, but you can see pretty much looks the same. Something that I do find interesting is they're both the Willys package. This one has mud terrain tires on the Gladiator, and they're 255 millimeter for the width, whereas the Willys on the Wrangler has all-terrain tires, and then they're 285, so they're like a bigger tire. So I thought that was interesting. But you guys can see, even like here, like with the, notice the rock rail protection, it's a little bit longer than the Gladiator because the Gladiator is a longer vehicle. So this is the first place where you can see like the length difference between the vehicles. And you can see with the, because I've got these front wheels not perfectly lined up, but pretty well with the line up stuff, and you can see there's a little bit of a difference there in the back because the Gladiator is, well, a longer wheelbase vehicle. And so here's your full side view with the Wrangler, and then here's your full side view with the Gladiator. Now, obviously the biggest difference is the fact that the Gladiator has a truck bed. It's the Jeep truck. And so, yeah, you have this giant storage space here in the back. And so, yeah, that changes things quite a bit. And then the taillight design is completely different with the Gladiator, and you can see the Jeep logo there with it. So the rear end, right, looks like that. Whereas with the Wrangler, you can see spare tire there on the back instead of underneath like what you have with the Gladiator. And I think this Gladiator has a full-size spare. Let's double check. Yeah, it's got a full-size spare. But anyways, you can see different design here with the taillights, for example. And then, I mean, this is a completely different mechanism with how this opens. And then, yeah, not nearly as much storage space. Again, traditional kind of like SUV setup here with the storage in the Wrangler. So I think that's all pretty interesting. Now, I want to compare like space here in the back of both of them. So I'm in the Gladiator right now, and you can see all the kind of features and everything. We do have the window open here in the back of the Gladiator, and then I'll see headroom in the back too. So sitting here in the Wrangler, it feels the same, and you can see the same functions and everything. Obviously, a little bit different. So like, and same thing with headroom. So in terms of like the feel in here, it feels different, but like space is the same, if that makes sense. Now, this Gladiator has 880 pounds of payload capacity. Here's a quick look at the front seat with the Gladiator manual adjustments and everything with the Willys. And yeah, pretty cool looking animation. You can see here with the steering wheel setup, and you know, also like adaptive cruise control, all of that. You've got the infotainment screen here. We've got dual zone climate with this, and this whole control stack is like the same in both of them. And notice here with the 2-speed transfer case, and all the storage here. I mean, yeah, pretty much all the same. And then here's the window sticker on this Gladiator, the Willys package. So yeah, those tires are standard on-road, off-road tires. Interesting. But yeah, 55,625. And so let's pop over into the Wrangler. So the Wrangler has a little bit less payload, 850 pounds, but you can see like the seats are literally identical. I mean, you get into this cabin and you are in the same exact vehicle with this, and even the door and everything, closing sounds the same. So yeah, this whole setup is the same, even the four-wheel drive system and all of that. So yeah, like front cabin wise, whatever you want to say, you're in the same vehicle. So here's a window sticker for the Wrangler. You guys can see the total MSRP, so pretty close. Funny enough, yeah, they do have different tires standard as part of their wheelies packages. This is, yeah, interesting. Yeah, 54,675. So with that being said, I would like to let all of you know that you just spent the last 5 minutes staring at a couple wheelies. I had to say it. Anyways, let's take them out, drive them, and see which one drives the best. Let's talk about visibility in the Gladiator before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood. Both the mirrors, dual blind spot ring. The rest of the rear. Tripod's in the way. Oops. Yeah, anyways. Let us set off. And so I'm using this driving portion for Gladiator versus Wrangler, but then also for the standalone review on this. I do want to mention, with that comparison, I found something very interesting. The Gladiator wheelies gets different tires than the Wrangler. The Wrangler gets bigger tires than the Gladiator, and the Gladiator has like these more like mud terrain type tires, whereas the Wrangler has all-terrains. So it's just interesting. Just such an interesting thing that same exact package name, but different tires for the different vehicles. I wonder why that is. But anyways, with the Gladiator, I mean, it is a Jeep truck, and so it kind of drives like one. You have, you know, solid front rear axles, and so you got a little bit of play in the steering. It's not bad though. It's not bad at all. And overall, I mean, it's, you know, with this new Gladiator, with how they've done the windshields antenna thing and everything, it's pretty, I mean, it's not the most insulated vehicle on the planet, but it's decently insulated for what it is. Better than before. Smooth. Yeah, it's nice going over the bumps and everything. I think they've done a great job with the damping. Yeah, it's nice. Like the ride quality and everything, it's nice. And the steering's light, even though, again, like I said, you got some play, it's light overall. Yeah, not too bad going over the little bumps and everything. And looks like we got lucky for a second. Yeah, I said this in my Mojave review, but I just think the Gladiator needs a little bit more power. I think this V6 is fine as an entry-level powertrain, but the fact that this is the only powertrain in the Gladiator, I think, is a bit of a downside. Now, obviously, you got the new Hurricane Inline 6 that everyone's talking about how, oh, that's going to be in the Wrangler and the Gladiator, and, well, all I have to say is until it is in the Wrangler and the Gladiator, it doesn't exist. That's my thing with cars. Until you can walk into a dealership and buy one, or order one, it doesn't exist. Yeah, this is nice. I mean, it's windy here and you can hear it. So that top insulation does make a pretty big difference, because the other Gladiator I drove with the Mojave package and the insulation was a lot quieter. So, summing things up, I think this thing looks pretty cool on the outside. This package is, I think this is the package, you know, in terms of, you know, off-roading that most people do. I think this is what most people should go for, because again, you already have solid axles, so this articulates really well. It's already got good ground clearance. Although I do prefer the tires on the Wrangler, this still has pretty solid tires. And so, yeah, just having a rear locking differential, I mean, this will be able to go places that 99.9% of Jeep people won't even take it. So, you know, the trails that I see most people taking these on, this will be perfect. Won't struggle at all. It'll be a great experience. I guess we'll park right over here. So, yeah, with that being said, let me know what you guys think about the Gladiator Willys edition. Well, let's talk about visibility before we set off. Here's visibility over the hood, both the mirrors, to the rest of the rear. And let us set off on the Wrangler. So I can tell you with these two particular vehicles, the ride quality difference between a vehicle with all-terrain tires and, you know, more mud-terrain tires, mud-terrain type tires, it's pretty substantial. This with the tires feels quite a bit smoother. But I will also say, with this shorter wheelbase, you do get a little bit more movement. So it does feel like a smaller vehicle right off the bat, like just instantly smaller vehicle. This one doesn't have the insulation either. Yeah, so there's less harshness through the tires with this one, but there's more through the suspension. I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, shorter wheelbase, so it's just interesting to kind of see that fully confirmed. Same engine. Doesn't necessarily feel, I mean, it's a smaller vehicle, so you think it'd feel faster, but it doesn't really feel faster. Moves at a solid pace though. Yeah, it does. It's just small. It just drives smaller. I will say the steering feels almost a little bit lighter on this. Super similar though. Turn that off. Braking's fine too, so that's a plus. I just caught that Hyundai doing something illegal. They did a U-turn in a no U-turn area on a red arrow. Hyundai drivers, am I right? Am I right? But and the interior's like the same on these two, so it's like you're just same all around. Okay, let's see. I mean, when you're full throttle, it does feel a little bit zippier. Just a little bit. Which, again, makes sense. It's a lighter vehicle. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. So, I mean, let's sum things up here with this comparison. You know, Gladiator versus Wrangler. Obviously, it's going to come down to what you're using the vehicles for. And by the way, wind noise is just as much. So the Gladiator, having the truck bed, right, it can do some truck stuff, but also it's not very good at being a truck. It doesn't tow that much. Payload's not that big. So what I see kind of the Gladiator being used as, frankly, is kind of like an you know, obviously lifestyle people that just want the cool looks and they want truck bed. But, you know, overlanding, I think it'd be a better overland vehicle than this because, you know, even though it's got worse angles because it's a longer vehicle, it has more space. So it's got that going for it. And then when it comes to the Wrangler, I mean, this is gonna be off-road, this is gonna be better, right? Smaller vehicles can be better off-road. Even though they have the same equipment and everything in terms of like lockers and all of that. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. In terms of daily driving, I mean, smaller vehicles, so that's always easier. Better fuel economy. Yeah, I think that's a good way to kind of sum things up. And I think also the fact that the Wrangler is kind of more popular than the Gladiator shows that the Gladiator, if it had a higher payload capacity, if it was better at being a truck, then I think that it would sell in higher numbers. But because it, you know, only has one engine option and this has 4, and because Gladiator is not particularly good at being a truck, I think that definitely pulls back. And so I'd say that with this comparison, I think the Wrangler does a better job at what it's trying to be. If that makes sense. So let me know if you'd go Wrangler or Gladiator.